You are now listening to Femme Regard Podcast with Tessa Markle
and Carolina Alvarez.
Femme.
Welcome back, Femme Fam. Oh, I didn't do an accent this time. Hello, Femme Fam.
Yeah! Hello.
Mixing it up.
I love it, Tessa. That was a surprise.
But we have another lovely guest, of course, for you guys today. Carolina, take it away.
Yes. Today we have Miss Ebony Adams. She is the author, activist, writer, and the manager of public relations at Women in Film. For those of you who aren't aware of this program here that is in Los Angeles, we're going to have Ebony touch on all the topics about it. What is Women in Film? Tessa and I currently are both members, and we've attended a bunch of their panels and events, and it's just been, for us, a really great women in film community that we can network and just build those contacts that are very important for our business and to help others motivate, push, hire, grow. So it's been a really wonderful thing to have here in LA especially if you first move to a big city. I don't know where you're from, Ebony. I want to say, hey, where are you from?
Hey,
what's
hey,
good?
hey.
Yeah.
I am from all over. Most recently before Minneapolis, before LA, I lived in Minneapolis. That's where I did my grad work, lived there forever. But I actually was born here in LA. Just real quick, I think you said my title was Manager of Public Relations. It's actually Manager of Public Programs. I am the programming guru for Women in Film. Psych, I'm just the Manager of Public Programs. We also have a Manager of member programs. My colleague, Melissa, who is I'm in awe of everybody I work with at Women in Film. They're oh my God, I don't want to say, boss ladies, because I kind of hate capitalist commodification of feminism, but there's some bosses up in there. These are some smart people.
Yeah. I mean, we've been involved in so many, gone to so many panels and submitted to so many different things and mentorship programs and stuff that it's you guys put together some cool shit.
Thank you.
We love everything you guys offer. Yeah.
Thank you. It was very difficult, and it continues to be difficult. The way that we had to pivot to digital, the way that every organization is doing right now. But I have been just incredibly gratified by the ways that members like y'all and the larger community has come out in force to be okay, we can't meet in person, but we are still committed to uplifting female filmmakers, non-binary filmmakers. We are still committed to advocating for the careers of these people. We want to make sure that when production does start back up again, that, women and non-binary folks are getting hired, because we know we're the ones who were the last hired, right? But just people wanting to have conversations, wanting to stay connected. It's been amazing the way folks have been oh, this was a bomb panel that you had on Zoom last week. Are you doing another one? Oh, I saw that you talked to the showrunner for Little Fires Everywhere. Can you talk to the showrunner for, Killing Eve or whatever? It's been amazing.
That's awesome. For our listeners too, I mean, I know we've talked about WIF in other episodes and other seasons and everything, but
shout out, love it.
Yeah. But just, we just mentioned why we love it so much, but if you kind of just want to give a quick little summary of generally what WIF offers, what they're about, in case our listeners haven't heard yet.
Yeah, absolutely. So Women in Film has been around since 1973. And, as the name tells you, we are all about advocating for celebrating and advancing the careers of women in the screen industries. But it is not just film. It's also TV. It is also, digital media, et cetera. And we take a multi-pronged approach to this. I know that sounds really buzzwordy, really corporate, but it truly is an ecosystem of support that we try and offer. So yes, we try and be thought leaders by having panels and workshops with industry leaders, with people who are actually in the industry and who can say, here was my path. Here's how I got into the business. Here's how you can get into the business. Here are things that you need to look out for. Here's how to improve your craft. But then we also are able to provide hands-on tangible assistance via our member program. So things like our production program, our episodic writing labs, our feature writing labs, our film finishing fund, And then, another piece is kind of the global wide industry view that we do through things like our Reframe program, which we do in partnership with the Sundance Institute, where we are presenting like hard hitting, deep dive, research-based findings about the status of women in the screen industries and what it will actually take to achieve parity. So my part of it, public programs, is just one small part, but I like to think I'm a vital piece of the jigsaw puzzle. It's certainly the part that like a lot of the public knows about.
Ebony, we see you at those
girl, thank you.
Yeah,
listen, I am on Zoom multiple times a day, every week, just being like, hey, if you don't know me, I don't know how you could not know me at this point if you come to WIF events.
No, seriously.
You are seeing me, in my office with my different head wraps every day, just like giving the people what they want. But yeah, it's very exciting because, a lot of people know women in film through those public programs. They think about WIF is hosting a screening, like that's what they do. Or WIF is hosting panel discussions. That's what they do. That is definitely what we do, but we do so much more. Like we are here for y'all. Yeah. If you are in the screen industries, we are here for you.
Love it. I love that term, screen industries. I've never heard that used, but it like actually covers everything. I love that. Yeah. I have to remember that for the future.
Yeah, it is something that it's so vital for the way that we understand media right now, the particular media that we are engaged in creating and promoting and celebrating and advocating for, because it is not just film. When Women in Film was started in 1973, obviously there was no way to anticipate the growth of things like TikTok or Quibi or whatever. Right. But now I'm very excited by the ways that we are very inclusive with our understanding of the media that we talk about, because I think in particular about like women of color, I think about like queer creators. They are doing the damn thing on platforms that are just totally bypassing, like mainstream models of distribution and creation. So if we're not paying attention to what they're creating on, in like experimental film or in short form film or on these digital platforms, then we're missing a huge swath of, just amazing art that we could be talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah. I also love that you guys offer so many things like for members through different like tiers of membership, as well as for the public. Like you guys offer so much to so many people. And, we were talking about how earlier we were like, well, do you think like our male audience is going to kind of bypass this episode? But no, I mean, you guys offer things to literally everyone. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, put this in the show notes. Women in film, you do not need to be a woman or a non-binary filmmaker to be a member of Women in Film. We have many male supporters, members, etc. That we are united by a common goal, but you do not all need to be in the same place. And also, like, if you're just someone who cares about the media in general and you want to advocate for better media, which is what we're all talking about, like we want to, live in and enjoy a media landscape that has a more fulsome bouquet of stories, then that's who this is for. So you do not need to be a woman. It is not, a club that is, exclusionary. Like, no, y'all join the party, be part of this. We do try and make our programming as responsive to the needs of members at various levels as we can, because we do know that, if you're an emerging creator, then you have different needs in your career than someone who is a senior VP of development. But that's just a fact, right? And yet those needs are just as valid. So we have a small team, but, we are very deliberate about the ways that we program, because we do want to serve as many members as possible and as broad a way as we can.
Yeah. That's what I especially love. I feel like for certain programs, for the beginner kind of entry level filmmaker, you offer mentorship opportunities, which is huge with industry professionals that can really help guide them. And even at the top tiers, like, you still, like, mentorship is always valued, right? But I feel like you have a very smart way of like helping each different kind of filmmaker at whatever level they're at, and I also love that there is a huge variety. Like you have stuff for showrunners, and like that's not a world I like want to live in, but it's like awesome that you do, like, you know, and because there's the industry, that's something that's been so eye-opening when Tess and I started this podcast and like started our production companies, learning all these different roles, and it just feels kind of endless, but also in a way it's exciting to know that there's so many opportunities to get involved and to hire women at like any different, like, you know, there's just so many roles, like we could be extending that opportunity to someone. And I feel like Women in Film really brings all those different titles or positions, people of interest of those types of positions together, so we can network and like learn about them too, because I still am like learning the millions of things you gotta have to put on a like a full-fledged production or show, you know.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I am a writer and moved to LA with the intention, like, you know, 90% of the people who move to LA with the intention of, you know, making it in feature films. And so, you know, have a stack of features that I've written, always anticipated, you know, working in film, and have shifted to TV. But it was not a medium that I knew anything about other than being, you know, as a consumer. And so like literally it was probably, you know, 10, 12 years ago that I even for myself started to tease out, you know, what the different roles are on a TV production crew. Like there exists someone called a showrunner, and this is what the showrunner does. And here's how you become a showrunner. And so we want to make sure that we're not, you know, just assuming that everyone has a certain base of knowledge and that you can speak to everyone from that position, because that's simply not the case. And it doesn't mean that, you know, people haven't done the research or the schooling necessary to find out these things. You don't know until you know. And sometimes you don't know that you don't know. So why not be, you know, inclusive and say like, okay, here are things for people who are just learning about the business. Here are things for people who've maybe, you know, like they've staffed on a couple shows, but are having trouble getting to that next level. Here's, you know, programming for people who have show run on cable, but are looking to get into broadcast or whatever. Like, why not speak to all of that stuff? Because every person that you reach has the ability to reach back and pull someone else, you know, up with them. So it's not a one-time thing. You help one person, they're bringing someone else or more people behind them.
Absolutely.
I think that's really important for people to be aware of that kind of impact it has. And that's why we always encourage our listeners, just start creating and forming that team, because you just never know down the line, like who they know, and everyone, you can reach anyone at your fingertips. Like that degree of separation isn't that far from, and especially like in a community like Women in Film. But literally I learned the term showrunner from going to a panel, because I didn't even know.
And exactly, right? And, you know, we, like any industry, I think we have our ways of being, acting as if it's a secret club, right? And if you don't have the password, then we know you don't belong. And this is one of the ways that like women of color have traditionally been excluded. One of the ways that like disabled creatives, you know, traditionally get excluded, queer, because we don't have or we don't use the same grammar and vocabulary about the industry that, you know, the white male creatives have, you know, been socialized into using. And we're here to dismantle that. Like, no, we want to get more people into this industry, specifically, you know, as I say, like women of color, queer folks, et cetera. So we're dismantling all those gates. Like, we're not here to be gatekeepers. You have a story to tell. We want to help you tell that story.
Hey, Femme fam. How many of you are podcasters yourself or interested in keeping up with the rapidly growing podcast world?
There's so much to learn and keep up with, but we have just the way to do it.
Join the PodMov community. We get their daily newsletter delivered to our inbox, connect through the private Facebook group, and are even featured in their June 15th, 2020 issue.
They even have a huge annual summit for podcasters to network, learn, and perfect their craft.
If you're not convinced yet, just subscribe and try it out anyway, because guess what? It's free and you can unsubscribe at any time.
Use this link so they know we sent you. Don't worry, I'll read it off now, but we'll also type it out in our show notes for you to copy and paste. And it is podcastmovement.com/subscribe ? MWR 2EFF8BBA.
We'll see you in the Facebook group, or even better, at the summit.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you guys like really are a small team.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I remember like joining Women in Film in the beginning and thinking like, oh, this is like a really big, like almost like corporation or something, you know, because they're putting on all these things all the time. Like they have to be. But yeah, it's not a lot of you guys running this.
No, it isn't. I mean, like any nonprofit, you have to kind of be a Jill of all trades. Like everybody has to learn a little bit of everything else. But yeah, we've got a staff of around, I think 11 to 13 folks, but we do a lot. Like, you know, we do our public programs, as I say, we do our member programs. We have, you know, one person doing, you know, overseeing communications. We have someone who, you know, oversees the events that we do. And I mean, these are big events. So we absolutely depend upon the just incredible generosity of people like our board of directors, who is just like a brain trust of just badass women, and volunteers and supporters from the larger community, because we simply could not do, you know, what we do. It would take a staff of 50, you know, to do one segment of what we do. But because we have the support that we do, you know, from the larger community, we're able to do so much more. And it's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. And it's so inspiring. Like for anyone that wants to do something like this to support, you know, whatever industry you're in, it doesn't even have to be this, but like, that's such inspiration. Like just go do it. You will get the support. If you're doing something that's going to help the community will help you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's a family of organizations that do, you know, work like this, but, you know, with a slightly different focus. And so we see ourselves as being in partnership with them. So it may be that, you know, you're a Women in Film member and you were looking for something that we, you know, don't have the capacity to provide, but we can put you in touch with someone else who can, or we can say, you know, we don't have the ability to do this because it's just outside of our wheelhouse. But now that we know that it's something that people need, perhaps we can develop the capacity to do this. So yeah, it is. It's just about saying, this is what I want to do. I want to tell my stories. I want to help other people tell their stories. Now, how do I make that happen? And then, you know, as a community, as a family, we offer the support that we can.
And it's just as easy as shooting over an email. Like that's like what, and you guys do respond like every time, and it's that easy. Like because sometimes you feel like, you know, is my voice actually going to be heard? No, there's always like the email list, always after an event. You can like, you guys, Ebony, you're someone who's so approachable. Like I just feel like everyone, it can be intimidating at first. Like guys, for sure, you go to like a big room full of like, you don't know, industry people, and you just feel like a small little fishy in LA waters. But no, everyone's always been super nice and like definitely approachable. And I love that.
Oh yeah. And I mean, like, I want to shout out our members, like your two amazing selves, but we have a great membership. And so connecting with other people in the community, we try and make it so easy, and everyone is so receptive to reaching out. So, you know, we have our private Facebook group. We obviously have our social media channels. We're not doing our in-person events right now, you know, but we did have like our quarterly coffees that were in the office, our quarterly cocktail hours, where you could just come in and meet other members, and it's low stress, it's informal, it's casual, and it's just getting to know people. Like, oh, you're a director? I'm a director too. Oh, I'm looking for a line producer. You know a line producer? Awesome. You know, like it's just that easy. You know, there's no barriers to making those connections. Obviously, we can't meet in person right now, but we do have our weekly happy hour hangs, and those are meant to be the exact same thing. So like, Fridays at 5 p.m., you get on, there's a Zoom gallery of 100 people, which can be a little overwhelming until you realize that we're all just like lifting up a cocktail, you know, talking through how our weeks went, you know, and just sort of being there for each other. And you will see, in those, Zoom hangs, people in the chat being like, hey, if anyone wants to connect, here's my email address. I would love to start a writing group of, like disabled women, is anyone, in that community wants to be part of this? Or, yo, I'm an older director and I just want to have like kind of a support group. If anybody wants to connect, hit me up. Like, these are the kind of connections that we're able to facilitate, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I love like having a place where people can get together like that and that it's working,
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to put anybody off. Like, if you just told me like, oh, here's a weekly Zoom call with 100 people, I would probably run for the hills. You don't need to be on camera if you don't want to be. You don't have to like speak up if you don't want to. It's very like low stress. We just want to make it available for people. And even if you just want to see what other people are talking about, that's there for you.
You can kind of be that fly on the wall.
Exactly.
Like, exactly.
Way. Yeah.
No, I love that. Actually, I'm like, I need to attend this cocktail Zoom hour.
They're great. And, we've been having special guests on. We don't have a special guest every week, but we have had several. And we have been able to get special guests from like, showrunner Casey St. Onge, who's amazing, did an AMA to kick off the series. But we've also had board members from Women in Film, and these are people like high-level agents, managers, heads of studio. Like, these are people who can answer every single question you could possibly have about the industry. These are women who have, made their way in an industry that has often, put barriers in their path. And so to have them there for like an hour a week, answering any questions, if you think about it, like
that's
during the normal course of a day, how easy is it for you to speak to an agent at CAA? Not goddamn easy, right, but here, on a Friday afternoon, you can talk to her and be like, okay, am I ready for representation? What does that even mean? Or what do I need to do to craft like the most compelling pitch for a potential agent or whatever? Like, you can't have a better expert there. And so we've been able to bring that to people while at the same time, like I said, having a drink, decompressing from the day, just bringing the people what they need, how they need it.
Oh my God, I love that. And thank you for highlighting that specifically, because like right now, as we touched upon in the beginning, like we can't have the in-person panel. So is there anything else that Women in Film is doing virtually at the moment that you want to highlight?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we're doing an increased number of workshops for people. And I want to, I should say, like, I want to preface this by saying a pandemic, what's the phrase? A pandemic is not a writer's retreat. So please, people, don't assume that because you're not being productive for whatever value of productive makes sense to you, that you are somehow failing at this time. This is a worldwide crisis that we're living through. So if you're just getting up every day and breathing, you have succeeded. You have won the day.
Yeah. Amen.
But
amen.
For the people who are like, okay, it helps me to, be taken out of my head a little bit. Like, maybe I just want to be distracted. I've been watching, this show on Apple TV Plus. So it helps me get out of my head. And also because I'm a creative, maybe I want to take part in a conversation. We've been having great conversations with filmmakers and other creatives in our series Laptop Cinema Club. These are typically on Wednesdays, but sometimes they bounce around the calendar a little bit. But it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like, hey, you've been watching stuff on your laptop, on your phone, whatever. We want you to like screen these amazing shows, these amazing films, and then we want to give you the opportunity to talk to the creatives behind them. So that's one of the things that we're having just huge success with. We most recently did one with Elle Fanning for the Hulu show, The Great, She was so awesome. I mean, granted, the whole time I was looking, like, I'm just like, we're talking to Elle Fanning. She's in her kitchen, she's so real. She's so approachable. She's, the star and executive producer of this show. Like, this is exactly the kind of program I want to bring to people. And then the very next day, we had a conversation with Tanya Saracho and Gloria Calderon Kellett talking about Vida and that show. And I'm like, where else are you going to get a conversation between two Latina showrunners, you know, people who are friends, who have this deep connection, but who are also colleagues in the industry, you know, like this is what we're here for. So Laptop Cinema has been an awesome opportunity to develop right now. Then we've also been doing member workshops that are specifically designed to address like career development needs. So you want to learn how to work on your virtual pitch, because that's the only kind of pitch people are doing right now is over Zoom. Yo, we got something for you. Do you need to learn how to, you know, network better? You know, what makes you an effective networker, more authentic networker? We got you. To things like, okay, you may not even be worried about pitching and networking right now. You're worried about like, how do I apply for the financial aid that I need right now during this period? We have member workshops that are specifically designed to talk about like personal and professional financial issues. So that's really awesome. And then, you know, we have things that are specifically targeted to people who are in our member programs. So master classes for people that are on like in directing cohorts or producing cohorts. So there's a wide range of things that we've been able to do on a week by week basis. That's just, it's kind of phenomenal, as I say, the way that people have come out in force for these things. They're just like, yeah, you know, without even knowing what something is about. Like maybe they don't watch Home Before Dark on Apple, but they're like, I've been watching all the other Laptop Cinema clubs. Let me find out what this show is about, you know, and then tuning in. It's great.
That's awesome. It's amazing how much you guys offer, and still through all of this, you're still offering just as much stuff. It's just virtual.
Yeah, exactly. Like I say, if you're tuning into any Women in Film event, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see me in my office, you know, introducing this stuff. But listen, this is my home now. You know, this is the satellite office of Women in Film. So enjoy it.
Totally. Well, Ebony, if you could share with our listeners, I think you already mentioned like the social media handles and stuff for Women in Film. Maybe just remind us of those. And then if you want to share any of your own like social media, or if people want to contact you directly, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely. So the quickest way to get in touch with me is via email. My email is on the website, wif.org, but I am at eadams@wif.org. Again, I'm the manager of public programs. So anything public programs related, hit me up. I would love to have a conversation with you. I can't meet you in person for coffee anymore, but I can get on these Zoom calls. We can, you know, chop it up via video conference. Happy to do it. Love to do it. But then, I would love for people to be following us on social media. So Facebook at Women in Film, Twitter at Women in Film, Instagram, I believe it's Women in Film LA, at Women in Film LA. You can find us. And don't just follow us too. There are other Women in Film chapters. We are all autonomous, but check out the other great, you know, if you're in New York, for instance, there's NIWIFT, you know, if you're in Atlanta, there's an Atlanta chapter of Women in Film, you know, like we are all out there doing the damn thing, you know, find us, follow us, participate, be part of the movement.
I love that. So listeners, get on that seriously.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, thank you for that. Because we have creatives from all over, and it's exciting. It's always exciting to see who our channels are from and where they're at, and just know, there's communities all over. So definitely, guys, if you're listening, tuning in, find that support system in your city or start one, you know, like go for it. Because we're all here to do the damn thing.
That's right.
That is the quote of the day, girl. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Ebony, for coming on today. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. As always, we have a couple more guests for you this season, so we're really excited. And we hope you guys have been listening, enjoying, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Femme Regard Podcast. If you like what you hear, tune in next time for more tips on the filmmaking business and insightful conversations with industry professionals over tea.
We can only grow with your support, so please subscribe, share, rate, and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. If you leave us a great comment, we might give you a shout out on the show. For more on us, check us out at femregard.com.